Welcome to the Sideline Report. I'm Marvin Jackson. Joining me to kick off this season of college football are some of the best in the business, and they are all from the DMV. We have Morgan State coach Damon Wilson, head football coach at Morgan State. We have the Bowie State head football coach Kyle Jackson, and we have University of Maryland head football coach Mike Locksley, who is joining us via Zoom this evening, and he started his camp today. So thanks for coming and joining us by Zoom, and welcome everybody.
Thank you, Marvin.
Thanks for having us, Marvin.
Yeah, this is a great situation where we've got three coaches from the area together talking about football and starting this new season. So, you know, you guys are doing a great job mentoring and coaching our young men. It is an enormous responsibility. So why did you choose coaching? And what do you hope to achieve with these young men who have come to your programs? Was there a specific moment or event or person in your life that kind of made you?
Me, coaching gave me the opportunity to give back. You talk about I had some great coaches in my life, you know, who had an impact and guided me down the right way, you know. So having the ability to give back through the game of football, that gave me an opportunity to get my degree, continue playing the game I love. It's a lot of different life lessons that come with it. So, you know, it's a lot of guys, like I see even Coach Wilson, you know, he was a guy who coached me back in the day and gave me the opportunity to start my coach career and now still serve as a mentor to me. You have people like that who impact your life, and I want to do the same thing, you know. So that's my avenue, that's my vessel through coaching. I'm a Baltimore City guy. I graduated from Edmondson Westside High School, home of the 2006 2A state champions.
All right, there you go.
Yes, sir.
That's the way to do it. Damon?
Now, for me, I think coaching kind of chose me. You know, I grew up. My dad was a youth coach. It was an opportunity for me to coach right after I finished college, and it gives me an opportunity to impact 100 young men on a daily basis. And outside of being called dad, being coach, in my opinion, is probably the next best title, just because you can have so much a big impact on today's youth, and it's something I'm really I cherish. A title that I don't take lightly at all. And you know, doing this now 26 years is really giving me an opportunity to impact a lot of young men's lives, and that's what it's all about for me. And you know, I'm a Sideline High School graduate.
Yeah, that's right. I remember, and I remember you playing in college, and 26 years. I can't believe
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But like we have Coach Locksley on the call, and he's a guy that kind of mentored me coming in. And when he was at University of Maryland as a recruiting coordinator back in the late 90s, anytime I needed anything, you know, he was a guy that I reached out to. And it's great to have us all three here today because we all kind of help one another along this process.
Right. And Coach Locksley.
Yeah. You know, first of all, let me state, I would have rather be in studio. State champion up there, Morgan's decided he didn't want to do it early. So. Team meeting. But for me, coaching, I grew up a club kid. I grew up in inner city DC, the south side of the city, and the Boys and Girls Club was really such a prominent role, which I've talked a lot about, being on the board for the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington. The coaches at the club, Officer Willie Borden, Officer Coach Dillion Fields, Officer Sam Perry. You know, I grew up in a single parent home with just mom. And the club was my safe haven, as I've oftentimes said. And as a kid, you typically I heard Damon say it just now, his dad was a youth coach. And as a kid, you usually grow up wanting to do what the male role models in your life do. And, you know, I had a great high school coach in Frank Young, my college coach who gave me my first opportunity in coaching, Gordy Combs. And so the coaches in my life as a kid inspired me. And, you know, you typically want to grow up and do what your male role models and your father figures in your life did, and that's what brought me to coaching. And 37 years now, and you know, I guess I'm the old guy, as Damon likes to try to. mentored him, and he's 26 in.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Coach, you went to my high school, Ballou High School in Southeast D.C. And Big Bad Ballou, man.
The 87 graduating class, which was in 86.
Yeah.
We finished 10-2 and ranked in the top 15 of the Washington Post. Fact check me, Damon.
Hey, you guys are all three looking forward to some great things this season, and as you should. Coach Locksley, you have some new faces on the coaching staff and on your roster, probably more new faces than either of the other two coaches. What should we expect from Maryland football in 2025?
You know what? That's a great question, and it's unfortunately the question I get asked quite a bit because of this new landscape that we're in of college football, college athletics. And here's the good thing for me is I've become the elder statesman of in this coaching business. I don't need to know that answer today, and it's a little different than it's been over the last few years because much like the teams that are one level ahead of us, the NFL. They cut their roster down to 53 people about a week or two before their first game, and they use training camp and they use those 2 weeks to forge a culture that allows them to win competitively. Whereas in the past, in the college game, your team was 3 years built, 4 years built. Well, like you said, we've got 60% of our team that have never suited up for the Terps, and we're going to spend the next 25 practice opportunities getting these answers, and I'm looking forward to it. We didn't get our complete team here until June 1st, where the freshmen that just graduated showed up on Father's Day, and the transfer portal guys that we brought in after spring ball. And so we've had a good 2 months of summer work, but this is where we'll get an idea of what kind of team we're going to have. And I just finished talking to our team about that's what training camps for us is going to be all about, identifying playmakers, the guys that can make plays for us, and then creating the culture that allows us to win and play for something bigger than ourselves, which is really important in this game.
Yeah, Coach Wilson, follow up on that with your program.
Well, I'm excited. One thing that we focused on this offseason was just getting the guys to really spend time and know one another. As Coach Locksley mentioned, with the transfer portal, we graduated 30 guys from last year's team. Then we brought in 15 mid-year guys, and we brought another 15 or so freshmen. And we've spent since beginning of spring and this summer, just spending time with one another. We have some assignments that, I give them 10 questions per player so they can, hey, tell me, what's Marvin's sister's name? How many siblings does he have? And I think that's really going to help us the latter part of the season. I think you play better when you have a genuine relationship and care about one another, and that's something we've been focusing on. I'm a family-oriented guy, but this new landscape, it kind of changes dynamics a little bit. You got to speed that learning curve up a little bit, and that's something I think the coaches and the players did a really good job this offseason, so I'm excited about the guys we have right now.
Yeah, a lot of new things in the MEAC too, right? So
that's what I heard.
Maybe we can talk about that a little later. Kyle, Coach Jackson.
I'm excited going into year 4, in the position. A lot of things I learned along the way. You talk about being in the realm of the transfer portal, NIL, and things like that. You got to, hope to play with the team that you start the summer with, just because things change daily. Some things may happen. Some guys may decide to go other places and things like that. So understanding, the way that the coaching realm is set up now, your roster is going to change, and you got to be able to adapt to it. But you got to establish, both coaches said it, establish that culture of, winning and working together, things like that. So it's really about who can put the best roster together and make it to game day in order to compete. So, but I'm excited, man. Like I said, year 4 for me. I took my lumps and bruises the first 3 years, but I really feel like I got my feet up under me this year. And I'm excited about the progress that we've made over the past few years.
How's the CIAA looking overall?
It's competitive, man. It's competitive. We just actually had media day not too long ago, so getting the opportunity to talk with the coaches beforehand, it's going to be competitive. It's a good brand of football when you talk about HBCU football. So I'm excited, man. Like I said, we all friends and laugh and do that at media day. But when it's time to kick this ball off, we try and get a W. Ain't no friends on Saturdays. So
right. Well, look, similar goals for all of you, but you're representing different levels of football, and you kind of touched on that a little bit. So I want to throw out these topics: NIL, transfer portal, and recruiting. It's a little different for each one of your levels. Maybe, Kyle, you can start off with that.
Got you. So in the D2 realm, NIL is not as prevalent, just because, like I say, financially, we're not tapping in those, especially at Bowie State University. But you talk about the transfer portal, you talk about just recruiting alone. It's one of those things as Coach Wilson kind of speak on, during that transition phase when I took over, we lost a good amount of guys who went and played FCS and FBS football. You talk about guys who were D2 All-Americans who were getting opportunities to go play at the higher levels. So as in my position, understanding that, that's kind of the lay of the land now. If you have a guy that's going to go a D2 All-American, it's a possibility that he's going to get some NIL money thrown at him, or may get a little bit more scholarship money thrown towards his way. You got to be prepared for that. It's one of those things where you try to establish a culture where the guys enjoy where they are, but understanding at the end of the day they're going to make the best decision that's best for them. But we talked about in the beginning is impact. Impacting these young men's lives to making sure they're making the best decision for them. So that's kind of the lay of it from us from a Division II level.
Yeah, and also HBCU.
Absolutely.
Black college
Absolutely.
football. And then the same for you at Morgan State, Coach Wilson. You want to kind of talk about that too? Or?
Our kitty is a little smaller than Coach Locksley's kitty.
Okay.
But we do have a kitty. We do have a kitty,
right.
and for us, I don't believe in recruiting an FCS football player. I want to recruit a good football player, and if you recruit a good football player, FBS programs are going to come after some of your guys, and which is part of
that to the viewers what FBS.
So for example, we are the FCS program in the state of Maryland. Coach Locksley and Maryland Terps would be the FBS program, and Coach Jackson would be the Division II program in the state of Maryland. So scholarship opportunities, that has changed now, but as far as the number of scholarships with regards to the roster limits, but they're going to have a bigger pool of money when you talk about revenue sharing and that sort of deal. We have a criteria that we put in place when we're talking about awarding guys money. We're going to look at the academic component. We're going to look at also athletically, and we'll see what they're involvement in the community. So we do have the opportunities to award revenue sharing, if you will. But once again, we want to recruit the best guys that fit our program. We want those guys to be four-year guys, but we understand that sometimes guys may take that jump and move up to FBS. But hopefully we do a good job re-recruiting our student athletes, and they appreciate the opportunities, not only athletically, but also academically, that they receive at Morgan State University.
Yeah. And Coach Locksley, what are the ups and downs for you considering the NIL and the transfer portal, all that good stuff, all the new stuff now that makes coaching a little more complicated, right?
Yeah, it does, and nobody really cares when you stand in front of that room and you talk about some of the things that this new landscape has brought. And for me, a guy that, as you said, a Blue grad that grew up in inner city D.C., change is a constant. It's something that, I kind of, it's, as I said before, it's the wheelhouse that I've thrived in. And I can tell you that the landscape is continually changing. I went from a week ago being told that collectives were done to standing at the podium. By the time I walked off, collectives were back. And so we're in an ever-changing, evolving landscape that it takes great direction and structure as well as discipline in how you navigate it. And for us at the FBS level here at Maryland, obviously, the 20.5 number is the number that we all are working with because of the TV revenue that we generate. And then you have what's called NIL, so two streams of income for players to earn money. And, one of the areas I feel that Maryland can and should and will thrive in, and I've talked about a year ago the lack of the resources and that we, with the team we put on the field. Well, now with the revenue share money that has been approved by the judge July 1, it kind of shrinks the gap between the haves and have-nots. The collectives are back in the mix, and this is where I think with the new changes we have here on our campus, Jim Smith coming over to us from the Atlanta Braves, pedigree of winning a Major League Baseball championship and World Series, spent a bunch of his collegiate career at a place called Ohio State, where he's seen championship level sports. He understands the business of sport, and I'm looking forward to seeing him come in and take advantage of the landscape we live in here at the University of Maryland as the flagship state university, to where we can lay in both the Baltimore market and the DC market where our NFL counterparts can't. You know, the Ravens provides us the fourth largest media market in the world, in the DC Baltimore market. And so and the staff that he's putting together, I'm very hopeful that we can also generate ways to keep our top players here through name, image, and likeness, which is the true NIL. Now that these collectives are back, obviously we have to navigate and operate in those lands, in that landscape. You know, the portal has given and it has taken. I've oftentimes said we have benefited from the transfer portal. We have gone and tapped down into the Division II market, the one FCS market, and we've also been able to go attract some of the top players that have left here and maybe saw and understand the value of staying close to home. So it's a landscape that has been ever evolving for us that got into this business. It's been challenging, but you know what? We have to figure it out, and I can tell you we're doing everything we can here on campus. We've had a strong foundation over the last 3 years prior to last season, where we did something that hadn't been done in 130 years here on campus, and the goal is to get back to that style.
There are some new coaches coming into the MEAC. I'm not sure about CIAA NFL stars, but the MEAC and the SWAC, that affects them. Is that something that's good because it brings a lot of excitement to HBCU football, or is it something that you would like to see those stars maybe get more experience first before they come in? Starting with you, Damon.
I mean, for me, and you mentioned HBCU football. So for me, I'm a stickler on this. I coach FCS football.
Okay.
HBCU is the university and experience that a student athlete may receive at that university. But I don't want to just put myself in HBCU bucket. I want our Morgan State University want to be considered a really good FCS football program. But as far as
how you recruit.
That's how I recruit.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to just be the best of 23. I want to be the best of 163. The same way when I was at Bowie. We was in the HBCU conference. We had the HBCU itself. But the reality is we're trying to be the best at Division II at that time.
Right.
So far as those guys coming in, I think the universities think they made the right decision and hired the person for the job. For me as a coach, at the end of the day, those guys were great football players. Now, it's a little different when you got the whistle around your neck. And so they're going to have to learn the landscape of coaching. I just spent some time with those guys last week. Both great guys, talking about Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson. Great guys, had some really good interaction with those guys. And but, you know, come August 30th, you know, they got to put that coach's hat on. And so a lot of times you think you're prepared and you're ready for that opportunity until the ball is kicked off. And now you got to make some decisions that you never had to make before in life. So it's some preparation towards it. I still encourage the younger coaches that want to get into this deal, go through the channels so you can learn the ins and outs. And but those guys, you know, they're in fortunate situations right now, and I do think it brings more exposure to the conference itself. Yes.
Speaking of you all had a great media day, as well as your CIAA media day, but. Coach Locksley, everybody's saying that you were just awesome up there at the Big Ten Media Day, and you were the best dressed. So I don't know if Damon would agree with that, but I heard that you were. But I did see a little of it, and you were pretty good up there. You probably were the best guy up there, the best head coach, what does that mean for you, that people are saying good things like that? And just to say, I mean, I think that you are just one of 3 African-American head coaches in Big Ten, right? So what does that all mean to you? Because you did very well up there.
The fact that I'm positioned or being pointed out for doing well means that they had a very low bar. What it looks like. But, no, to be honest, you know, for me, I'm at this point in my career as a coach where I like to say my give a crap gauge is on E. You know, over the last 6-7 years as a family, we've dealt with adversity. I've talked about losing my son and my whole perspective in this coaching business is I really don't care what people think. I feel really confident, having been in this role. This is year 7. As I said earlier, we've done something that hadn't been done in 130 years here at Maryland football, with going to 3 straight bowls and winning them. And no one can take that away from the program in terms of the foundation. But what I said and what I did at the press conference was become very vulnerable. To be able to sit up and authentically tell the truth, because there's always a lot of things written, and even with the comment I made about losing my locker room, they heard just, oh, I lost my locker room, but what they didn't hear is the reason, because of the haves and have-nots, because of being under-resourced. A year ago, when we're a $3 million team is playing $23 million teams and not having the depth. But for me, the toughest part was I got into this business, as I said earlier, because of the coaches and the roles they played in molding me into the man I've become. And this coaching business, when the church doors opened December 1st, became very transactional. And I didn't get into this business for transactions. I got into this business to create better future fathers, better future husbands, better sons, better brothers, through the game and through the lens of football. And you know what? With the money being thrown into it, it threw a curveball. I don't know how much the degree still is important to some people, but I know for me and the other 2 guys, the facts that, to win 4 games, we underachieved, and I know why we won. I know why we won 4 games, because our locker room was not a cohesive, aligned unit, and it's because I'm teaching 18 to 22-year-old males the real life rules of, everybody's scholarship check was the same for 100 years, and now some guys' checks are bigger. Some guys are coming in with their Louis belts, their backpacks, their car keys, the chargers, the Mr. T starter kit chains, and some guys that helped me win 3 bowl games weren't able to reap the benefits because we didn't have enough of the resources, and it divided my locker room. And as a coach, I had to go through a year where I'm teaching while doing it, and I feel really comfortable now because we have shrank the gap because of revenue share being implemented, to where I'm back in that locker room and feel very confident that you'll see the Terps bounce back really quickly.
All 3 of you are good friends. You know each other. And let's kind of end the show talking about that relationship you all have with each other and how that works in a positive way. Gotcha. And also, if you each can kind of leave something talking about your philosophy of life, and maybe some words of wisdom to young people out there, and young and old, who are trying to achieve something like what you all have done. We can start off with Coach Jackson, and we'll go to Damon, and then Coach Locks.
Got you. So I think something that you said to kind of start the show off, you talk about you got two examples in front of you. For myself as a younger head coach, you got 2 examples in front of you of guys from the area, who are doing it the right way, taking the right steps, being in the proper places, and excelling in his coaching career. It's a motivation for myself, just showing that it's possible. As I mentioned, like I said, I'm an inner city, in the Baltimore City guy, and having the opportunity, of some of the stereotypes of coming from Baltimore. Man, I'm a walking testament, that it's possible. Outside of sports, they give me an opportunity to go and, achieve my degree, but it also gave me an opportunity to impact young men and young women as well. That's a part of the program. So being a product of your environment is not always a negative thing. Like I said, it's an extra motivation that comes with it. And, just like a philosophy of myself, when we talk about at Bowie State University, we talk about culture. Culture is an acronym for us. So 7 different things that we talk about and we do. We can be successful as a program and in life. So you talk about commitment, understanding, leadership, trust, unity, respect, and effort. Those 7 things, if we can model those, then we got a good opportunity to be successful. And like I say, not only on the field, but off the field as well. So that's one of the things you'll see on the back of our helmet, culture. And it's something that the guys, the players, we talk about it in all our meetings. Them guys they gotta rehearse that back to me, So when somebody say it on your shirt, you should be able to preach what culture is.
Right. Damon.
Shucks, man, Cal just messed me up with that response.
Yeah.
But for me, a guy like Coach Locksley, as I mentioned, as a mentor, you're talking about top 2 when you talk about D.C., Maryland's athletics, John Thompson, then you got Mike Locksley. So for me to be able to go to a guy like Coach Locksley for anything from day one, it's great. It's a great opportunity, great experience, great just from a family standpoint. Our wives, they talking that sort of thing, and it's bigger than football. And if you think about the impact that he's had over his 30-plus years coaching on the young men that he coached, and watch what those guys are doing now, how many guys have graduated from his program, I'm trying to catch him. He calls me the state champ. We got a little inside joke, but I'm trying to catch him. Kyle just mentioned culture. I kind of almost teared up a little bit because we have an acronym of BEARS, and some of his same letters or words in culture, BEARS. BEARS for us is belief, effort, accountability, respect, and selfless. We believe in order to play at Morgan State, you must possess those 5 things, and so that's something that's really good to see. And like Coach Jackson, this is why you do it. I coached this guy in college.
Right.
And I had an opportunity to move on to Morgan State. The president of Bowie State, Dr. Bro, and Mr. Dowdy, the AD, asked, Coach, what do you think we should do after my 13 years there? And it was without hesitation, give Coach Kyle Jackson an opportunity. And I'm so grateful that they asked for my opinion, and I'm so grateful that he's doing what he's doing at the program. So, this is great for me.
All right, Coach Locks, you got a little less than a minute. Those guys talk. They,
I won't be long.
You know how those Omegas are.
But it's great to hear that what those guys are saying. And much like those guys, we have the acronym of what a TERP is. Our TERP acronym is toughness, both mental and physical, effort, something that you shouldn't have to coach, relentlessness. And that's a word for me that describes who I am as a person. And then that P is for pride, and the right kind of pride, the name on the front of the jersey, the flagship university. We're representing Maryland, something bigger than ourselves. And if we put those 4 things together, the S in TERP stands for success. And I can tell you that, one of the top ways to have success is when you face adversity or failure is to get the lesson from it. And I can promise you that we got a group of guys downstairs that just finished up meetings that understand those 4 pillar words are what's going to give us an opportunity to have success. To see Damon, the job he does, I created an organization called the National Coalition for Minority Football Coaches, and it starts with mentorship. And it's something I've been doing a long time and I've benefited from. So really excited about this. Marvin, thank you for putting this together. Opportunity to see Damon and see Coach Jackson, both really successful coaches, and what they do here in the state. We got great football in this state. If we could just keep these top players, I think all 3 programs would benefit from it.
Thank you very much. And you're right. It's a great area to it breeds football players. I mean, there's so many. And I thank you all for being here. I think this is a great thing that we did. And maybe we can do something similar, after the season or whatever. I know you guys are going to be busy, but we'll be following you. And, viewers out there, if you have young men who want to play football in college, these 3 guys, you want to send them to one of these 3 guys. So just grateful to have you guys with us.
Thanks for having us.
All right. And then go out and support them, too, because check out their schedules. They got some great schedules coming up, all 3 of them. And we will be following you guys.
Yes, sir.
All right. So thanks so much, Coach Jackson, Coach Wilson, and Coach Locksley. All right. So we'll see you next time on the Sideline Report. And thanks again to the coaches.